KRMS. Viper Communications, its employees, guests, and or sponsors are not responsible for any actions that may occur as the result of the information station, KRMS, Osage Beach.
It's time for the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Lakefront Living Realty is Missouri's only real estate firm focused solely on lakefront and lake access properties, changing lives one lake house at a time. So let's talk the waterfront lifestyle. Please welcome owner-broker Annie Faulstich and her guests for today's program.
Welcome to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage, where we're changing lives one lake house at a time. Welcome back. We are talking year-end market reports and New Year predictions. So stay tuned with us on today's show. As promised, I am going to cover some year-end as well as decade market stats on lakefront and lake access property. We also have the pleasure of having Jeanne Rackers, mortgage consultant with OnQ Financial, in the studio to give us some exciting news in the lending industry. So I hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas. This was the first Christmas I can remember in a long time that we were out on the lake. And comfortably out on the lake, I should say, and soaking up every second. I will take any and all of those days we can in the winter, and I hope we selfishly get to see some more of them throughout the rest of this winter. It definitely makes it seem not so far to spring. I think it's less than 150 days until Memorial Day weekend, but I mean, I'm just saying, I'm counting, but we have a lot coming up in the new year, aside, of course, from the new baby, literally any day. Stay tuned each week as I make new announcements of upcoming events, new listings, collaborations, and tips on buying and selling lakefront property. You will also be hearing from a few other agents and lakefront specialists coming up this month as I take a few weeks off the radio, so tune in. I know they will have some valuable information and also bring a new vibe to the show. Each week, I like to talk about topics that typically affect buyers and sellers, giving you, the listeners, answers to your most common questions. I will always continue to ask you to call the office or myself directly anytime with any further questions you may have on one of the shows, or if there is someone or a certain topic that you would like us to cover. So I don't want to bore everybody by reading off a bunch of stats, so bear with me because I do think some of these numbers are very interesting. If you would like a more detailed copy, please email me at annief@lakefrontliving.com, or you can always reach me directly on my cell phone, 573-216-4350. You can view this week's newsletter via a link on our Facebook page from our tip of the week that posted yesterday. I discuss it in much further detail as well in this week's blog, which you can find at lakefrontliving.com. Go to the Missouri page and scroll down to the bottom, which is where you will find the blog section. We really took these market reports into greater detail. I ran market reports for both lakefront and lake access properties. Now you can break this down 1,000 different ways, and again, I'm happy to share those numbers on specific criteria anytime if you contact me directly. But looking at lakefront, I included condos, single-family residential, and villas, of course, direct waterfront. January 1st through December 23rd. So this year, the total number of closed properties was 1,571, which was only an increase of 2 transactions over last year, 2018. This number, I think, will surprise some people, being so close year to year, as we, thought we had such an increase. But what the following numbers, what you'll see is we're definitely showing an improved market, because the average sale price came up 4% to $291,361. Again, these are lakefront. This is including condos and villas as well, so the numbers are slightly different when you break down those components. So example, when we calculate residential lakefront only, the average sale price jumps to $372,000. But total sales volume also saw an increase of 4.2%. We closed $457,727,577 in total sales volume, which obviously shows an increase in property values or sale prices since the amount of transactions had not changed. And again, that volume increased over 4%. So again, follow our social media to get more stats on 2019, or as always, contact me directly, because we can break this down. Obviously, it's different condos, villas, lakefront single-family residential, lots and lands, and lake access. We can also break this down, which I had for different price points, and what kind of an increase, decrease that we had seen over the past couple years. One thing we talked about last week, just because we were closing out a decade, which it was kind of crazy to think about. When you look back and you think, oh my gosh, 2009, do you remember the real estate market in 2009? We definitely have seen an increase. When you look at lakefront property, the total volume almost doubled. I mean, almost exactly doubled in lakefront. We had just under 240 million closed in total sales volume on lakefront property. And then again, this year was 450, just almost 458 million. So that was a huge increase. Our total sales were up 76%.
Wow.
Days on market was also one that we saw a huge decrease. Even since last year, that also shows that the market is getting better. We had also just under a 4%. No, actually it was 5.1% decrease on days on market for lakefront property. When you look back over the decade, it's down to 46%.
Wow.
For days on market, because that's what we struggled with, back in 2009. So here we are a decade later and looking forward for sure to 2020. But again, if you want some more detailed information on any of those stats, please email me directly, AnnieF@lakefrontliving.com. I definitely want to save some time for the show today, though, for our guest, Jeanne Rackers, mortgage consultant with OnQ Financial. Jeanne has over, I believe now, 30 years?
I'm 29.
Okay.
30 in June.
In the industry, and brings vast knowledge and experience. She only gives the highest quality of customer service, and we can speak to that directly. Jeanne, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Tell us about yourself, how you found Lake of the Ozarks, and then, of course, who exactly is OnQ Financial?
Okay. I'm originally from Des Moines and came down to the lake in 1987 was the first time. And it was crazy back then, versus where it is today. That was the first time I came and loved it. Literally stayed on one of the hotels on the cliff, looking down. And I'll never forget a friend of mine, a couple that came with us, literally knocked a chair into the wall or into the water off the dock where the boat was. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was like, somebody go grab it. And the owner laughed. He goes, Missy, look up that hill. And I said, yeah. And he goes, it's just that far down here. And turned on the depth finder back in 86 when they had literally, you put a depth finder on your boat and it was at the bottom. And it was 42 foot. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa. He goes, that chair's down there already. And I'm like, wow. Okay. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting. And then literally I just decided I wanted to come back. Came back in 99. And the lake was incredibly different at that point. A very good friend bought a lake home down here in Chimney Cove. And I, of course, financed it. And then in one summer, I had 9 sets of family friends that bought lake homes down here.
Oh, wow.
In one summer. And it was all around the 14, 13-mile marker. And I, at that point, decided I'm going to buy something down here. And I always wanted to live on the water. And that was my dream. And literally, my husband and I built our dream home, our retirement home, in 2014. Been down here ever since, and I think I'm going to die down here.
Yeah.
So that's really kind of our dream.
Yeah. So did you start as a part-timer then?
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah, I bought my first place in Emeralds Bay, a condo, and I had the 14-mile view. It was just amazing. And my family always said, I can't believe you drive this far down here, 6 hours for a weekend. It's 12 hours of windshield time. My parents walked in and they went, wow. We get
view.
it.
Yes.
So
yep.
that was
it all started with that Cliff Hotel.
Yeah.
Well, we will take a short break. So stay with us on the Lakefront Living Radio Show. We'll be right back talking more with Jeanne Rackers and On Q Financial. Stay with us at News Talk KRMS 1150 AM and Ask Alexa, play KRMS. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich.
Welcome back to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage. If you missed the beginning of the show, we are talking year-end market reports and new year predictions. We have Jeanne Rackers with On Q Financial is in the studio with us today. We kind of just got started on her story before the show, but as always, if you miss any part of today's show, you can catch it anytime. The following week, you will find a link on our YouTube channel, Lakefront Living Realty Missouri, where you can listen to the full show at your convenience anytime. So don't hesitate to look that up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you're not missing the radio shows each week along with our popular tip of the weeks. So Jeanne, thanks again for being here. I always love hearing everybody's stories of how they made it to the lake. I, of course, thank my parents for making that choice for me and bringing us to the lake in the early 80s. But I love those stories, and we chatted about that. The view at Emerald Bay.
Yeah.
Bringing you to the lake, and that's also what got us changed our complete direction, and then moved, after renting at Emerald Bay for 6 months, moved onto the main channel because we couldn't give up that view.
Right.
It really does something to your soul, I think.
Sure it does.
It's a different part of the lake. But so tell us about On Q Financial.
On Q was designed and by our co-founder, John Bergman. And John was a mortgage loan officer just like me, which is really kind of a novel idea, because normally when you work for the big banks, which I did, I worked for Bank of America and Wells Fargo for almost 20 years. And the people I worked for had never originated a mortgage loan in their life, which is crazy, right?
Yeah. So
John Bergman was a loan officer, closed an enormous amount of business, $100 million a year as a loan officer, right? So when he decided to open his own company, he didn't want to be strapped with debt. So when he opened his company, he put his own money into it. So there's $0 against our mortgage company.
Wow.
Which is totally different.
Yeah.
So when he designed it, he wanted it to be, number one, a dream. It's really the American dream, right? To own property. He thinks it's inclusive for everybody. The American dream is really designed to help everybody buy a home.
be homeowners.
Right.
Yeah.
And it really was a novel idea. Again, he's been on the street, so he's done my job, and he still does my job, right? What I do. So he understands the customer's concerns, the whole experience. So when he designed our company, he did it as On Q Financial, and the name On Q came from. As a loan officer, he would ask everybody, tell me how I could be better. Tell me what I can do better. How can the company do more for you? What is it about you? And his realtors would always say, are you kidding me? You're always on cue. So he became the name. They called him On Q. That was his name. So when he developed the company, and he designed the company to be small and boutique style, so that he could give the best possible service to his clients and to his realtor and to his referral partners, builders and financial planners and realtors and everybody in the facet that would give business to a loan officer like us. And that's where it really became such a specialty company. So there's not thousands and thousands of loan officers with On Q. It's an invitation to join our company, which is really incredible.
It means, it's got to mean a lot with your history, background, and all of the area of expertise that you have covered, in your history of being a loan officer. I mean, it means a lot that you would choose On Q. Yeah.
It was really incredible. When the invitation was delivered, it was really about, they will only take the best. And literally there were 9 of us that were chosen from the state of Missouri that we received invitations for, which was very humbling, in my opinion. And again, just to listen to John talk. So there's not 12 layers of management, right? If I needed to, I could call John Bergman directly. There's it's just a really neat experience. The companies that we looked at were a few, and the technology is what really brought me to On Q. It's called Mortgages Simplified. So everything can be done on a person's phone. So when you talk about what the market is going to, when you look at the millennial age of people buying homes, they're so computer savvy, right? I mean, that's the big driver. If you're driving down a street, or you pull into Emerald Bay, or you drive by a lakefront home that has a sign on it, you can instantly, with your technology and with our technology, they can literally pull up into an application in 5 minutes from their phone and have a loan approval.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's incredible, right? Fast and furious is really what it's all about, which kind of brings to our technology. Using the simplified application with the rest of our technology, we have 1-day certainty, which basically means that if we get 1-day certainty on our files, there's nothing left to do. You can do, we don't need all the documentation that other people need. We can do asset verification from their phone. They can actually allow us to verify their assets from their phone, and I get the email instantly that the asset's been verified.
Okay.
From their access from their phone, right? Which takes days off.
Does this mean if they have this information on their phone, or their accounts need to be linked to their mobile devices?
Everybody looks at their checking account and savings account and pay bills on their phone, right? So that's what this is all about. But yes, they can truly give access from their phone to get asset verification. We don't need bank statements. We need nothing if they have the assets. And 1-day certainty is designed by our application. Again, it's our proprietary software that truly I can pull the file from our system, and when they enter the application, and literally I do it for clients that don't have access. I just did it for a client in moving from Tennessee to the lake.
Yeah.
And it's one of your realtors on our team, which is really cool, one day certainty. And they don't have to verify assets. They don't have to do verification on income, and the system generates it, and it literally takes days off of the application, which is our one day certainty with our on-time closing guarantee.
That aspect is definitely something I'm glad that you brought up and want to talk about, because as the real estate side of it, and you even mentioned this to me before, with the shortage of housing inventory, many times the clients are in multiple bid situations. And that's happened more this year, this past year, 2019, than I've had experience with all of the 13 years. But being able to close quickly, backed up by your guarantee, it helps our clients win more contracts, allowing them to buy the property that they actually want instead of settling on something else, in your own words, which is huge. I mean, for the real estate side of it, that's huge. People get their hearts set on a property, and multiple offers everybody thinks is, the best thing. It can add even more unwanted stress on both the buyers and the seller's side, honestly. But we've found ourselves in that position.
You bet.
Quite frequently.
So what it does is the buyer and the seller will receive a guaranteed closing payment of $1,000. If we close on our closing date, if the closing date doesn't happen on or before the date agreed upon on the purchase contract, there's a couple conditions there, but literally we'll pay the buyer and seller $1,000. Since I've been with OnQ since May 1, I've known of it happening one time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't our issue, but we guaranteed it and we paid it out.
Wow. It really, technology is the way that everything's moving. When we talk about it a lot on the show, it's constantly we're having to keep up. I mean, that's part of it. So I do think that your simplicity application process is huge. Tell everybody your website directly for you.
It's Jeanne.Rackers at onqfinancial.com. So it's JEANNE.Rackers, RACKERS at onqfinancial.com.
We are going to continue talking to Jeanne Rackers with OnQ Financial after this short break, but check out her website because it is so user friendly. But stay with us on News Talk KRMS. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich.
Welcome back to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage. We are talking with Jeanne Rackers with OnQ Financial. We could probably turn this into a 2-hour show today. I think I could sit and talk to you all day long, anytime. You're just a wealth of knowledge and have so much experience in the industry. But then, of course, I mean, your customer service is like no other that I've experienced. And now getting to know OnQ Financial a little bit better, as well as experiencing it really is like no other lending company that I've seen. So I'm excited to have you on today. Let's get right back into it. Of course, I've let everybody know if you miss any part of the show, you can always catch it on our YouTube channel. But let's get right into it. The 15-day close. I mean, you almost, like, everyone wants to say, yeah, right.
Well, and again, John Bergman designed the company with taking all the stress out of it. As much stress as, there's a ton of stress both on a buyer and a seller side. You as a real estate agent, if you're going to present an offer to someone and you're trying to get the best possible price for your buyer, it's a great way to back it up, right? So he put his money where his mouth was. If he's going to close a property and close on time, where there's he can get the best possible deal for his clients, and as a mortgage lender, we want to do the best possible opportunity for our clients as well. So when you write a contract and it's you're going to try and win that contract for your buyer, right? You're going to do everything you possibly can, and also protect the seller, because you want to save face with another listing agent if it's somebody outside of your company. So what a better way to present an offer with a buyer that has a true on-time closing guarantee. Everybody can say we're going to close on time, but if you put your money where your mouth is and you're going to back it with a buyer and a seller to say that, we are going to perform and we're going to do it with $1,000 to the buyer and the seller if for some reason it does not close. So we came up with a 15-day on-time closing guarantee. The loan will close on time, and as much as, it's obviously not for bond loans or whatever, but for a qualified buyer, it's only for conforming and government loans, no bond loans. So even on an FHA or a VA loan, we will close on time. And, every year loan amounts are changed by Fannie and Freddie, and they were just increased to $510,400 for a conventional loan. So Freddie and Fannie, when you're going to make a conventional offer, you can go up to $510,000. I watched where it went from $417. It keeps increasing. And one really unique thing is VA has no loan limits anymore. Which is crazy. Yeah. I mean, first time ever. But when you make a contract, a buyer or seller's agent is responsible for delivering the contract with any changes or amendments to OnQ within 2 business days of the execution. If the buyer or the agent fails to deliver the requested documents to OnQ within 2 days, and it could cause a delay, and only the seller would be eligible to receive the guaranteed payout. So right. There's some conditions out there, but literally, if we've got an approved buyer, it's not going to stop us, right? Yeah. And we submit buyer has to submit any documentation to us within 2 days. But again, we have the verified assets. We have 1 day certainty. Literally, we're waiting for insurance, title, and the appraisal, right? So we can close in 15 days. And we have a panel of approved appraisers that know when our close date is, and they're going to make it happen. So again, it's just an incredible opportunity for buyers to know that we're going to get it done. And when you're presenting an offer and you can tell the seller that, we can close on time, and if we don't close on time, you're going to get an extra $1,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's all backed by our technology. And again, when we talk about the technology, we're talking about people that literally have been brought up in the technology industry, as much as my daughter buying a home. Literally, when she can buy a home and it's backed by that, that gives her a huge upper hand. Number one, to get the best possible purchase price. Yeah. Best close date, obviously, when it's guaranteed, and her friends in the industry, when they're looking at what we can do, it's incredible, to back it up. It's unheard of. And in this market here at the lake, it's crazy. Whether they're buying a second home or their dream home or their retirement home or their first home, for a buyer to be able to buy a lakefront property because of the technology, it's huge.
The technology, and I'm assuming also just being that smaller company that you talk about.
Sure.
And that's kind of how we are at Lakefront Living as well. We can call the CEO anytime or make those connections because we are designed to be a smaller niche company. But with your technology and ability, then you probably don't have 1,000 hoops to jump through on underwriting and appraisal.
Correct.
We can,
literally have an appraiser. She lives 2 co's over from me. Right. Excuse me, the underwriter. Yeah. So I literally, if we have something specific, and because she's here locally at the lake, she understands docks and boat slips at condos, and it's just it's a different world.
That's where a lot of that gets congested. And
sure.
Then people, all of a sudden, one day turns into 2 weeks later.
Correct.
Yeah, waiting on one change or,
Right. I had an agent call me last week, drove to her office, and I was looking at it, and she said one of the other institutions wouldn't close on it because it was a condo. Again, Lakefront Living, and the gentleman could literally go VA, again, no loan limit. He could go other financing, but because of what we were able to help him with, literally, it's a deal I'm closing in 2 weeks.
Huh. That's awesome.
So it just gives a broader option when you know that you've got somebody to go to on a condo. It might be they need fidelity bond coverage. It might mean that they need tweaking a little bit on the master policy, or it's not something our underwriters have a problem with where other entities do.
Yeah.
So that's a huge opportunity.
Well, let's talk about renovation loans is one thing I also want to talk about, because that's a cool area that and tool that you all use as well, because so many times, and we deal with that a lot on the lakefront, so much of the lakefront is already built on. You may not be finding that exact dream home. We've had contractors in the past on talking about that, how to make that lakefront property into your dream home, even though it doesn't maybe meet the criteria, or you've had it in the family for many, many years, is also something that happens. And they want to keep the property, but the layout, there's no garage. Everything is set up for vacation living, not full-time living. And now they're wanting to make that transition.
Sure.
Tell me about those.
Yeah, so we have the opportunity to do FHA 203K, which is a renovation loan. So maybe the client doesn't have 20% down, or they've had some credit challenges in the past. On an FHA loan, we can go down to a 580 credit score, literally, on an FHA file. On a renovation loan, you're going to be looking at the 620 credit score. But literally, they can get into a property for 3.5% down payment. I mean,
Wow.
It's insane. They can also put in the renovation money. So, for an example, if it's a lakefront home and they're going to buy it from the family, right, the trust, they can actually buy it from the family trust, purchase it with 3.5% down payment, and they can put the improvements into the home. So if they're needing, they're buying the house for $150,000 and they need $100,000 in improvements, they can do that. And then the disbursements are made out. It's the same way on conventional. It's called home style renovation, where they can actually put the renovations in. It's really incredible to see. I just had a client that did a renovation loan. She bought the property. It was nothing like what she wanted, but she knew what she wanted, so she put the renovations into it, and then they had a contractor come in and do those renovations, and those are dispersed out equally according to signing off on the renovations.
So is the down payment calculated then by the purchase price or by the entire purchase plus renovation?
It's done on the total. So if you buy a house for $100 and you need $50,000 of improvements, you're looking at an end cost of $150, and that 3.5% would go off of there, and then it would actually again be calculated on those disbursements out on the improvements as they're completed.
Okay. We'll talk more about the renovation loans that OnQ Financial has available, because I think those are huge for our area. We're seeing that more and more, whether that is your existing home or you're wanting to turn a property into your dream home, that we can help you find. So stay with us. It's time again for another short break, but we'll be back on News Talk KRMS for the Lakefront Living radio show. After the short break, you can always find us at 1150 AM, 97.5 FM, and 103.3 FM, and now on HD3 at 93.5 FM. Plus, if you have Alexa, say play KRMS radio to listen live. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Lakefront Living Realty radio show on News Talk KRMS. Once again, here's owner-broker Annie Faulstich.
Welcome back to the Lakefront Living Real Estate Show, your trusted guide to buying or selling property at Lake of the Ozarks, where every day is a lake day. Again, I'm Annie Faulstich, owner-broker of Lakefront Living Realty, Missouri's only exclusive lakefront lake access brokerage. We are back with Jeanne Rackers, mortgage consultant with OnQ Financial. You are a wealth of knowledge. I seriously, again, we could have a 2-hour show, or I'm definitely going to have you back on the show so we can keep talking. And I can already foresee this in the future as we get into the spring market and the changing times of each year. We left off just before the break talking about renovation loans, which I think are huge. And if you ever have any questions, Jeannie, tell the listeners the best way to contact you.
I'm still in my same location. I'm back behind TXR Construction across from JB Hooks. It's 101 Crossings West, Suite 100. I'm on the back side, on the toll bridge side. And in some terms, people might remember where the old building for the where Boone Millworks is, and I'm on the lower side. So the Missouri Correction Parole Office is next door to me. So maybe people would recognize it from there. So, but you can always reach me. I'm available 573-268-6874. And again, my website is Jeanne Rackers at onqfinancial.com.
Yeah, perfect. Let's talk about another couple of things I want to talk about. You mentioned to me, you said if people liked the interest rates in 2019, they will love them in 2020.
Right. So what's happened is there's 4 new voters coming in to join the Fed's rate setting panel in 2020, which is there's an annual rotation of committee members, which means that the chiefs from Cleveland, Philadelphia, Dallas, and Minneapolis will join the group in January. And truly, we're anticipating interest rates to be great in 2020. If you like them in 19, you'll love them in 20.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of fuels the entire buying process, everything from our new millennials that are coming on board to, again, second homeowners and retirement living.
Yeah, we talked about that briefly on the phone last week, just
Right.
a quick question, when you and I were in conversation regarding home buyers, that's such an important tool to them.
Right.
Those interest rates, they're fueling so much of the market right now.
So 2019 will be marked as the Fed's refusal to bend to the president's will. It will also be remembered in the real estate world as mortgage interest rates were persistently and unexpectedly declined, which wasn't in 2019 was never anticipated, right? They dropped versus increasing, and that was more on the Fed's means. And again, with the new board members coming in January, it's going to change a little bit more. So we're expecting interest rates in 2020 to be awesome. I know that you'll talk a little bit about inventory is low. But again, we talk a little bit about some of the opportunities with renovation and existing properties.
Yeah. Well, Gullis, I just hope they stay the same. They've been so awesome all-time low, and you're telling me it's like, shoot, I just refied. I should have, no, there's no crystal ball. But as long as they can continue to stay at these all-time lows, I think it's going to just continue to be beneficial for both buyers or sellers. So tell us why you think now's the time to buy.
Well, I've got a couple different things. Homeowners are, for people that don't own a home or have never owned a home, I currently see people that have been renting, for a couple of years. They sold their property, thought it was a good time, and now they're getting back into the market. Home ownership is the key to building wealth, number one. 2, enjoy the flexibility in retirement years. A lot of people can actually access the equity in their home if they need to, right? And today you don't need 20% down payment. That's truly a myth. The lake area is all USDA approved, right? It's income limitation requirements, but for a lot of people, they'll fit that, where they wouldn't know, literally can go buy a home with nothing down and have, you as their agent contact the seller and say, hey, we're going to build in seller concession. The lake is accustomed to that. And there's never been a better time to buy. Interest rates are currently down almost 40% from post-housing bubble at 6.4% in 2008. Again, we were talking about historic low rates. So it's a great time to buy. And which, to me, again, we just talked about why it's important. And there's 5 things to know about millennial wave. Americans that were born between 81 and 96 represent the largest demographic bubble in U.S. history. Millennials have had an impact on everything from entertainment to technology to massive numbers about flowing through the real estate market.
Yeah.
Again, it's insane. And when people know what that market looks like, again, with today's technology, the millennials are accustomed to it.
And you're promising that you're on board so that if anybody is not up to tech-savvy millennial status, you will be there to handhold them through the process.
Absolutely. So
no, half joking, but serious. I mean, there's a lot of them out there that...
It works,
yeah.
And I have a client, again, I just mentioned that she has a computer and she has email. And I said, okay, so do you access it on a computer? And she said, yeah, but my laptop doesn't work a lot. Well, you can access it by your phone, and everybody is now to that point, right? Mm-hmm. As much as they can, I can literally help them. They can tell me the information. I enter it. I repeat it back to make sure that it's correct, enter correctly. That's my biggest challenge. Is I don't want to have a typo or have somebody. That had a social security number typed incorrectly or whatever.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, it really is an opportunity where they can literally have a package sent to them UPS overnight, and they can literally send it back. Now, everybody can have that opportunity, but yes, absolutely. And sometimes it's kind of funny when I'm like, you're more tech savvy than me, and they're like, no, here's what we need, and I'm like, good, help me out.
Yeah, yep. I run into that too on our end. But anything else you want to touch on real quick before we move on to our featured listing spot of the radio show?
Yep. Again, housing market is shifting from renting to owning. Again, as millennials are getting married and begin to have families, new construction's not kept up with the demand.
Yeah, for sure here at the lake.
Right, the growing demand. And then new housing is strong in urban areas and our rural areas. It's huge. And affordability is not a problem. There's opportunity with every kind of market share out there.
Well, I highly recommend that you reach out to Jeanne Rackers with OnQ Financial if you have any questions, or for sure if you are in the loan market. Jeanne, give us your phone number.
573-268-6874.
Thank you so much for being with me today.
I so appreciate the opportunity.
You guys, I'm leaving this week's featured listing spot open to say if you are considering selling in the new year, please do not make a decision without meeting with one of our lakefront specialists. As I predicted, the last 2 weeks featured listings properties went under contract before the following week. We all know the faster the home sells, the higher the sales price usually is, as long as it was priced correctly to start. We still have several hot properties in all price ranges and locations on the water, so go to lakefrontliving.com and hit our featured listings section. Inventory is low now, so if you are considering, do not wait. If we continue to have weather in the 50s and 60s throughout the winter, property will continue to move at a high rate. It will even be more important to be partnered with the right real estate company if you are listing in the spring, when we will see an increase in inventory. You want to be the one ahead of the crowd and stand apart with niche marketing. So be a smart seller in 2020. If you would like to talk directly to one of our lakefront specialists regarding selling your lakefront or lake access property, contact us directly through lakefrontliving.com and go to the Missouri page. You could be our next week's featured and sold listing. I also want to remind everyone that Lakefront Living Realty Missouri is now also covering Table Rock, Taneycomo, and Bull Shoals Lake. So if you or anyone you know is interested or would like to know more about real estate on those lakes, please have them go to lakefrontliving.com, the Missouri page, and check out the active real estate. We always talk about selling a lifestyle at Lakefront Living Realty. Work with a local lender that knows the lake life herself. Avoiding red tape in the 11th hour with lakefront nuances. Jeanne has the lending knowledge and lakefront experience that you truly need for a smooth purchase and transaction. My family and I work to boat and enjoy all Lake of the Ozarks has to offer. Real estate is truly my passion, so every day is a lake day. Until next week, have a happy new year and do not waste another year or a day talking about the lake home you've always wanted. Life is short. Buy the lake house now and start making the memories that you will cherish forever. Until next week, visit us at lakefrontliving.com. We'll see you then.
Tell a friend to join you next week and listen in to the Lakefront Living Realty Radio Show. Visit their website for more information, including current listings and agent contacts. www.lakefrontliving.com. That's lakefrontliving.com. Or call the office at 833-LK-FRONT. That's 833-7668. 833-7668. And join them next Saturday after the news at 11 a.m. on News Talk KRMS Osage Beach.